Joe, we are back with another episode in the series that we are covering on the solopreneur success cycle. The reason why we are covering this is because our book, Solopreneur Business for Dummies, is basically about the solopreneur success cycle. We came up with this in 2022. I cannot believe we've been preaching this message for years now. How wild is that? It's
It's very
crazy.
wild, but the whole thing about time passing is wild. So I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other episode. That's a whole other podcast, actually.
It's a whole other topic.
That is not our spiel. But you guys, this is another episode in this series, another part of the planning phase of the solopreneur success cycle. So if you haven't gone back and listened to the past 7 episodes or so where we cover all of this, be sure to listen. These are our soundbite episodes. They're only like 10 minutes tops. And we just kind of give little tidbits on each phase of the success cycle. But each episode itself is a standalone. So if you just want to listen to this part, that's fine. But if you want the big picture, listen to the full solopreneur success cycle series. Anyway, on that note, today we're talking about creating your messaging and your brand. In the last episode, we were talking about market positioning and the importance of hitting pain points and all of that. And we'll get to that in a second as it relates to your messaging. But first, let's talk about your brand. Because I think when people come up with their brand or think about their brand, they're like, what will my logo look like? What will my fonts? What is my website? Like the design and everything. And they really think visually. But as a solopreneur, you are your brand. So your brand has a personality. Your brand has values. Your brand has beliefs. You need to think so much more about just the visuals that people see because your brand is how you are represented in the world. You need to think about your tone. Are you lively and funny? Are you helpful? Are you serious and educational? Not that you can't be lively and educational. I think that's the one that we try to be. um, but you really need to think through this. I recommend like a solid week, like a week's worth of work to put into like once you've done all the other phases and everything, of course, and understand your pain points and whatnot that you're trying to address. Spend a solid week thinking, who are you? How do you want to portray yourself out in the world? And what do you stand for? And so those are big things when it comes to your messaging. And once you know who you are and how you want to represent yourself, you need to get that out into the world. And the best way to do that is through storytelling. We talk about
Donald Miller.
we talk about Donald Miller. Thank you. um, his story brand framework, which if you haven't followed that, I highly recommend you check that out. But it's just a great way to get into the frame of mind of how to get into the mind of your customer, of your audience, and tell a story that would resonate with them. Because once you know what you value, what you represent, you need to resonate with them. And you need to do that before you even get to your marketing efforts. You need to understand how to hit them. And then once you do, then you can incorporate the storytelling and everything into your marketing. So storytelling is key and it'll separate you from so many people because so many people rely on AI these days that the AI is super helpful and it can certainly help tell a story, but it doesn't take the personal tone quite like you would. So we say, I mean, Jay Akunzo. Oh, sorry, Joe, you look like you're going to say something.
No, I want to go ahead, but I just want to go back because I have a question about something you said a little earlier. But finish on Jay Kunzo.
Yeah, I mean, we love his methodologies. He's a respected marketer and writer, and he always talks about resonance, and that's kind of where I was going with that. But sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, just going back to what you said initially about who do you want to be, and I'm just curious. That seems like a great idea, but potentially dangerous if you do it wrong. So, I mean, I think I wonder, like, when you think about who you want to be, who you want to present as, it really does it need to be like a subset of who you really are, or can it be invented?
I think it depends on your business. I mean, if you, I think authenticity and transparency are key. When you're working with one person business, it's kind you can't. I mean, for me, I'm chit chat and like I'm very social and everything. And if I have a business where I try to hide who I am, I sometimes it comes off as inauthentic. So I think but I'm in marketing, so I want my voice to come through. But on the flip side, if you're a marketing consultant consulting for another business, but you're a solopreneur, you're just hired out as a contractor, you need to take on the tone of that business, obviously. So
Right, but I mean, you're also marketing yourself to get that work, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, is it? It just it feels like I think it would be really dangerous, at least for me, to be try to pretend to be somebody I'm not. Right.
totally.
But I also think that you don't want to. I don't want to be me, soup to nuts. Right. I mean, it's just, there's you don't want to see me at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, and that same. But I mean, it's your brand's personality because I mean, you are your brand, but you're still thinking through it as your brand's personality.
Right. So you're taking a subset of that you feel it ties back to the business, makes sense, and is congruent with the business, and presenting that. Okay.
That's a good clarification. Thank you. um, but once you get the storytelling down, then that is when you can craft your audience messaging, and that's when it kind of starts to lead into your marketing efforts. And that is when we're circling back on the market positioning and really hone in on the pain points. So once you know how to tell a story, once you know what you represent, that's when you can tie everything together and really speak to your audience to get your product out there, which is, I mean, messaging and your brand are your business. I mean, that's how you're represented. So these are just really important things to think through as you lead into your marketing efforts. In this point of the planning process, the next phase is to plan out your marketing. And these are the building blocks to get you to putting all of this together.
But then once you figure all that out, then you get to pick out your colors and your logo and all that, right?
Yeah, I mean I feel like you should figure out your brand first and who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you think about creating a logo before you decide, you come up with this butterfly logo and then you decide that you're gritty, get it done. It's like, well, the logo goes out the window, right?
Yeah.
So
But at
yeah,
this
it's
point
definitely a good. I'm sorry, what?
in the process, you should already know who your customers are. You should already know who your competition is. You should already know all of this. So when it comes to branding, you at this point in the success cycle, you should be well equipped to develop your brand and your brand standards and everything before you get into market. I mean, you're set up for success at this point. So this is when you do develop your brand. And there you can do your storytelling and all that.
Can I tell a quick story?
Of course.
So when we were doing LifeStar, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted the logo to be like, but I was smart enough to hire a professional to help me put together the brand, and I basically gave her very clear ideas about what this logo should be like. And she came back with I think she came up with 5 options. And so 4 of those options were basically based off of my instructions. And the 5th one was this. This. So was the logo that we used. So she understood what we were trying to do, who we were trying to help, and then listened to me explain what I thought it should be like, and gave it one shot of what she thought it should be like, and she won because she was a professional, and I am not. So just my point is that if you can afford to get a good professional to help you with some of that visual stuff that most of us aren't necessarily masters at, it's not a bad investment, but get the other stuff done first.
Yep. Love it. Well, you guys, that again, we were just scratching the surface today. Be sure to check out our book, Solopreneur Business for Dummies. And for now, please share this episode with a friend. Leave a 5-star review for real. We so appreciate it. And subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform. And we will see you next time on the Aspiring Solopreneur.